Hey, what's up, fam? Welcome back to this episode of Bring the Heat podcast. We're your hosts, Miriah, Bashar, and Ryan. What's up, my guys? It's been a while. How you guys been?
Good. Glad to be back.
Hey, it's been a while, but I'm really happy to be here. And I dig the little fancy intro. I wasn't expecting that.
I liked it. She's like, it's a little thing I threw together. I was like, hey, that's pretty jazzy for, little thing I threw together.
Well, I appreciate it.
Mariah's got skills.
Yeah. I was thinking when I was putting together the show earlier that so much has happened since us three have been on a show together. Because the last show we did together, we didn't even know for sure at that point that, Brock Purdy, like we didn't know he was taking all first team snaps and he was back from his injury, like how he is or any of that. So, yeah, the discussion's going to be a little bit different now because things have changed, but I kind of wanted to just get you guys' overall feelings, just where we're at right now, how you guys are feeling, as we wrap up. Tomorrow's officially the last day of training camp. So after 2 preseason games, with obviously we know Brock is taking all QB1 snaps, as I said. There's a battle for QB2. But, it still seems like a lot of media is shitting on Trey. They think that Sam's already won the job. So it's kind of interesting going on right now. So just let me know how you guys feeling.
Yeah, I mean, the first preseason game, obviously, over in your stomping grounds, Brian. I know you were at the game. Sucks losing to the Raiders. I know it's not a real game, but it's hilarious how they
wish we could have got that one for you, Miriah.
I know. I grew up hating the Raiders, but I wouldn't have acted like that was a Super Bowl. I heard that they were acting like it was literally their Super Bowl. I think you were telling us about that, and that's pretty silly, but it is what it is. The O-line was just terrible in that game, especially more so when Trey was out there in the first half. It just sucked. And then so a lot better showing in Denver, obviously. And Brock Purdy did come back a lot sooner than I thought he would. I literally was thinking, just because of the severity of his injury, that he'd be back possibly week 4 of the regular season to actually play in a game. So I obviously was wrong with that. You can eat my crow for that or whatever you want. But, certain position groups look really good. Certain position groups don't look as they did normally in our past regular seasons. So, again, it's the preseason. When the regular games happen, we'll have a whole lot more to say. That's cool.
I don't know. I'm seeing Brock not taking the kind of the big shots there at all in his drive. Him kind of getting sacked because he didn't want to let the ball go, or he couldn't plant his feet fast enough to let the ball go. That's kind of concerning. Always going to the left. That was to the left also. There's things that I'm starting to kind of wonder if Brock being the starter is necessarily our best option. If he is limited as far as what he can confidently throw, then he's not the same Brock as last year, and I don't feel he'll be as efficient, not being able to get to the second level consistently. Like that deep crosser, you got to be able to hit the deep crosser, or this offense isn't as nasty. So there's that. Then there's what we've seen from the offensive line, and what it's looking like is our second stringers are worse than the rest of the league's second stringers, and that our third stringers are better than the rest of the league's third stringers. So we got a whole bunch of third stringers. That's what I essentially see. You know what I mean? We got a whole bunch of third stringers. And I'm not confident, especially when we've got a question mark at right tackle. So if our next backup is a second stringer and they're all crappier than everybody else's second stringers, then the guy that's going to come in or has the chance to beat out our question mark at right tackle is a third stringer. and that doesn't seem very good. It's just I'm happy about like Ronnie Bell. Looks like Ronnie Bell's going to be a key part to the offense by the end of the season. I think he's really going to be a part. Looks like Cameron Latu started to turn things around. It was really big that he got those catches, kind of, get his confidence back. But yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm glad that the game against the Broncos was better than the games against the Raiders. I called Moody getting that being put in the position to kick that game-winning kick. Lance was going down the field. I was like, this would be a great time to put Moody in a position and see if it's those nerves can, if he can overcome nerves in this situation. And they did. So I was happy to see that Moody's kind of, gotten better since his first game. That's important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think with Moody's just confidence. Maybe he's just nervous as a young kid about the bright lights and all that. And supposedly he's been killing it in camp. So we'll see.
Yeah. It was like the complete opposite of what we heard. So I was like, it's got to be nerves. You know what I mean? And then I was glad that Kyle put him back in there to kind of let him prove it, and then he missed again. It was like, Urgh.
I know, man. That was one of the craziest parts, I think, from that first from both of these games was like the inconsistency of Moody, because you would think, especially, he's supposed to be the best kicker coming out of the draft. You draft a guy in the 3rd round. Not for 1 second am I expecting him to go in there and just start missing every freaking kick that he makes.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is crazy.
Exactly. and a few people were like, no, that was the player to pick at, because New England Patriots picked a kicker right after. So it doesn't mean we had to pick a kicker right then and there. I mean, the most successful kickers in the league are the undrafted free agents.
We didn't have to pick a kicker there, but if you wanted to get Jake Moody like they did, you had to get him there.
Yep.
Because they tried to move up. You can't move down, because then they might be able to move up in front of you again at that point. It was really a kind of rocking a hard spot, but they were good with it. And I understand why. It was first thing, you don't alert anybody to what you're thinking by not moving around. And you're already in the 4th round, which they take kickers. You can justify it that it's the 4th round, whether you want to or not. That's your case, but I can make a case that that's the 4th round, mid 4th round. You know what I mean? Like, I could make a case that's mid 4th round. And yeah, if he is the guy, that's a steal. If he is the guy, that's a steal. So wouldn't you give up a pick 99 in any draft for a day 1 starter that you might have on your team for 10 years?
Yeah.
Maybe even more kickers. If he's good until he's done, you could probably have him on your team 15, 20 years. You know what I mean? And if you just do things right, he'll want to be here and stay here. He'll take less money. And you got a solid guy. So I understand what they're thinking. It wasn't stupid. It was just people didn't like that because there was no right tackle.
Yeah, I wanted DeJuan Jones. Yeah. He wasn't supposed to be available while we were picking. He was supposed to be available late 1st round, early 2nd, and he was there for the taking in the 3rd round. And he's been dominating in camp. I'm still pissed about that.
Yeah.
So before practice today, Kyle had a little presser, and during the press conference, he was asked about naming quarterback 2. He said he is still undecided. He expects to make that decision prior to the Pittsburgh game. And he also said that the quarterback 2 order can change throughout the season. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Now,
typical Kyle. Typical Kyle.
We've already had nothing but quarterback drama the last how many years, right? the whole offseason quarterback drama. Now going into the season, we're going to have quarterback drama.
He just thinks it's funny to fuck with people.
I don't understand. Like that just seems like it's going to be a real clusterfuck.
Like Kyle just likes to piss people off. He just sits.
I don't think that's it.
Okay.
I think internally he's got no clue. So right now his who he's proclaimed starter might not be the viable starter week 1. Like if you notice, like Trey's first game for the first preseason game, Kyle pretty much came out having his back. And I don't think that was because Trey really deserved it because of his play. I think that was because, like, hey, I might need everybody. I don't know who's going to be my guy. You know what I mean? Like, they have no idea. I don't think they really, and I think what Trey showed them was a little bit this last game, but it's not enough to just say, here you go. So I don't. They're in a bad
don't know
spot.
what Sam Darnold has shown to people to think that. Some people think that Sam Darnold is way better than Trey, and Trey Lance should be cut within a drop of a dime. And I haven't seen what Sam Darnold has done for this team other than throw that short little touchdown to Jack Coletto when Kyle threw him in there because he felt sorry for Darnold because he had Darnold with all those extended reps, and then he waited till the fourth quarter to finally put on Trey. It's just like, I don't know what they're trying to reinvent the wheel with this Sam Darnold bullshit. We don't know who the quarterback can be because Sam Darnold's so fucking good, and you miss me with that. I'm sorry.
He's not doing anything that I'm really liking. He's not pushing the ball down the field. It's not like he's doing any miraculous throws. He doesn't look more exciting than Brock Purdy. Even Trey's bad plays are more exciting than Sam Darnold's good plays. You know what I mean? Like, because there's something actually going on. Sam Darnold is Jimmy G light. And I think it's because he's scared to make the same old mistakes. So he's just kind of doing what little he can. Well, not what little he can. He's just the check down's always open and he's fine with that. You know what I mean? Like, he's just, the check down's always open. This is great. No one's on him. It worst case scenario, it's a drop. You know what I mean? And that's where he's at right now. And to me, that's not how you win games. So that's why I like, look, Trey, yeah, he starts off rocky sometimes. But you see, once he starts getting in a groove, he can actually do some things. And he's got more range than anybody on the team right now as far as arm.
But there are those who say, well, Trey Lance has no upside. He has no talent. I don't know what you guys are saying. You guys keep saying he has upside and talent. I see zero talent in Trey and zero upside.
So what I saw in that end of the third quarter and in the fourth quarter from Trey was something I was pounding the table for. I can't remember. I can't remember which show I was on. I think it might have been on Ted's show. I just want Trey to do what the play calls for, right? So if you're supposed to throw it to the guy that the linebacker runs away from to try and cover the receiver that's going over top, right? Then you look at that linebacker. Once he makes the move, you throw it to the receiver. That's what this offense is made to do. Trey he's so conservative with the ball. He wants to make sure that it's a winner every time he sends it. You can't do that with this offense. The windows are so open and closed so quickly, right? So he just needs to trust the system and trust the receiver and just let the ball fly. And I was saying on the thing, look, if you throw an interception, blame it on Kyle. Because if you did everything right, think about this. If Kyle's got this system where the people are supposed to be open, you're looking off the guy who's supposed to be, somehow somebody else gets into the thing, knows the play's going off. That's not my fault, Kyle. I did everything I was supposed to do. I looked at the guy. He was open. Next thing you know, a guy came in from the right side. I wasn't looking for that guy because that guy's not supposed to be there, right, Kyle? Because your system makes everything. So just let Kyle worry about all that, Trey. You just worry about where the window is. If the guy's open, and send it. Don't think any harder about things. And it seemed like he was really doing that in the third and fourth quarter. He was throwing with anticipation, which to me says a lot about trust. And he's playing with these third stringers. So he's now somehow got trust with the third stringers, and he's got trust in the scheme that the guy's going to be open because he's throwing it before the guy's even ready to catch the ball yet. So we're seeing that out of him. We can't just like unsee that now. You can't just cork that up.
Sure.
About Trey, I mean, Ryan said a whole lot. So, but yeah, I mean, I think he's obviously improved his mechanics. You can see that's pretty evident. His footwork looks really, really nice. It looks good, and you still have actually his best throw arguably was the one where he rolled to the left and he did almost like a little sidearm thing. Maybe it wasn't a sidearm, but he threw it to Tay Martin. And it was right to Tay Martin, and Tay Martin just freaking dropped it. Yeah. Number 86, Tay Martin. So who knows if he even makes the team? Maybe he's lucky if he makes the practice squad. So, and but it was nice to see him. Trey just march a team downfield towards the end, and actually right before that, got the touchdown to Latu. Big confidence booster for Latu because Latu he made a nice catch earlier in the game as well. Actually, so
yes, he did.
Good to see Latu just get involved and boost his confidence as well, and yeah, it's cool, man. I mean, I'd still want to see what Trey. Which we're not. Who knows? Maybe we'll never see it. I mean, Brandon Ayuk was the first guy to run out there, and we got penalized for it because he wanted to congratulate Trey Lance, who's one of his best friends. And Trey doesn't even get to throw to the guy. Never gets to play with him. Never gets to play with Ayuk. Never gets to play with Kittle or CMC. So it's like we never get to see what he's going to look like with these weapons. I mean, he is.
Do you think that was planned? Not that like Trey was like, "Hey, come out there," but you think Ayuk was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go show that I like this dude. You know what I mean? Like,
I think it was just his emotions.
It doesn't even seem like he'd have time to even think about that. Yeah, it was like an instant reaction type thing.
I mean, at least it wasn't a real game where it would have really cost us something if he with a penalty like that. But it is what it is. He was just excited, and I get that. But there's still some people that still think Trey Lance is the worst quarterback since Jamarcus Russell. So. I mean, Trey Lance can win 5 Super Bowls and they'll still say he sucks. So those guys are just gonna be miserable, shitty people. So whatever.
I guess
Jamarcus Russell didn't even try.
Jamarcus Russell didn't even study film. Remember that story about that? You guys remember that story?
Yeah. Now that story that just came out about Johnny Football, he never studied the freaking nothing. So it's like all these other quarterbacks that have failed didn't even put in any effort. You got this guy that's there busting his ass, from all accounts, and it's like people are still writing him off like he's these other guys. Like, I don't get it. I guess
I don't know. Go ahead.
I guess when the off season started and we knew that there was going to be some kind of quarterback battle, right? Whether that was for QB1, QB2, whatever. We obviously knew that we had 3 quarterbacks that could be starting somewhere, and that they were going to be battling in some fashion, right? I guess I wasn't thinking when the season started that we would still have all 3 of those quarterbacks on the team and that this could possibly continue into the season. Like my thoughts were, okay, whoever, if you're giving Brock the job, QB1, whoever wins QB2, whether it's Trey, whether it's Sam, you trade the other one. Not that you're going to roll into the season. I don't know. Like,
I think
they lobbied for that rule, right? They lobbied for that new rule.
We're already stressed out thinking like this whole, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. And now we're at, if you have 3 quarterbacks, what happens?
It's supposedly we have one. We just don't know about the other 2.
Oh.
And it's like, but do we know about the one?
I don't know.
Like I wouldn't have had Purdy taking first team snaps as the starter until he got his full range of arm back as far as, his distances that he can hit. I wouldn't have him out there with the first stringers. I'd have somebody else. I probably would have just had Trey there, maybe Sam Darnold here and there too. But I would have Brock Purdy working out the kinks and getting ready and getting stronger with the seconds and the thirds. The reason being is you can get your confidence back, because obviously Brock Purdy knows how to hit people. So you can get his confidence back with all that stuff as he's waiting for his arm to come. And then you've got the other people who have a chance to actually, throw 20 yards down the field. You can have them looking at the number one spot. I still don't think Sam Darnold should be in any sort of competition, but
they said today that Sam Darnold took all the second team reps.
Yeah.
And then Kyle said in his presser that today and tomorrow would be very, very, very important in the quarterback 2 battle. And yet Trey's taking quarterback 3 reps. So
I don't know why Kyle's fucking off like this. It's so stupid. He's trying to reinvent the wheel with all this bullshit. That's what he's doing. How is it gonna make Trey a better player? How does that make him a better player? It doesn't. Now Trey can still try to get better on his own and study film and all that, and he worked on his mechanics on his own. But with the actual team, I mean, I don't know. I have no idea what he's doing. I can't make any sense out of it.
So think about this. So when he got this team, right, and he drafted CJ Beathard, right, he was trying to do that, get a cheap guy and he can run my office and I'll put stars around him, right? He was trying to, what they're trying to do. And then all of a sudden they realized that didn't work, right? And, Jimmy G was good, but he couldn't stay healthy. That's what they say, So they were looking for they tried to get Rodgers, and they tried to get Stafford, and they were looking for Cousins the whole time, which is not a cheap quarterback on the low, right? So they realized that the cheap option wasn't working, and at some point they were like, we need to get a better quarterback, right? They also paid Jimmy in that corner time. They paid Jimmy off of 5 games, right? So now they're back to, we need to be cheap at the quarterback position and have, weapons around him. And it's like, well, neither one of these strategies worked for you when you did them. But you also did one of those strategies really bad by giving Jimmy resetting the bar, resetting the standard on quarterback contracts off of 5 games. So Kyle has made these wishy-washy decisions throughout his career so far as the head coach of the 49ers. And I don't see why it will stop at this point. He just changes his whole philosophy, throws it out the window because he gets frustrated, and then gets frustrated going another way and decides to throw that strategy all out of the window for the one he was at before and got frustrated with. And then now he's sitting in the middle of, okay, what do I do? Because what's your strategy? Pay people cheaply. Okay, he's got 3 people. He's all paying cheaply. But when you put them all together, that's not cheap. It's not. The only one the only one who's dirt cheap is Purdy.
Yeah. Well, because Sammy D, he has like what is it? Shit on his contract, like if he plays a certain amount of time, if he does this, if he does that.
It's worth $10 million altogether.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ted was yelling about that today. He was like, why do we have him on our team? He's going to cost money and he's mediocre. And I'm like, I wouldn't mind having all 3 of these quarterbacks this year.
So then how do you go into the season?
Oh, I don't know. But so like right now,
you're going to keep Orr on the fucking chart?
Right. No, right now. Like
you remember that depth chart?
If Purdy, okay, so if I'm Kyle Shanahan and Purdy can't make all his throws, and I think that hinders him from starting, I'm going to put him on IR. I'm going to give him like a 5-week buffer to get ready. I'm going to figure out what I got in Trey first and foremost. I'm going to figure out what I got in Trey. And if the wheel falls off the wagon, I got Sam Darnold I can put in. And hopefully by week 6, Brock Purdy would be back. And be back and up to par, and then he could take the reins again if need be. Or if Trey just was smoking everybody by that time, then, because from what we've seen, like him getting warmed up, like he might be crappy in the first quarter, but by halfway through the second, he might be lighting people up. And by, halfway through the third, we might already caught up. And, by the fourth, we might be 2 touchdowns ahead.
A lot of QBs start off slow. What about Purdy against the Seahawks in the playoff game? I mean, there's games where Purdy's gotten off. A lot of QBs do it. It's just typical in the league.
And I think what happened with Purdy is he was confused. I think he was confused about what they were showing him. They're doing some different stuff, and I think he was, it was the 3rd time we played him that year. They're showing a different something or other, and it might have been something he hadn't seen yet, too, throughout the league, firsthand. Because it all just died. Like he slowed down. Like the offense was just in a rut. And then all of a sudden Kyle changed some things up. I think he kind of explained to Brock what he was seeing and was able to kind of whip up a game plan, and then bang, we were cooking.
Steve-O's crazy, I swear.
He doesn't think he's doing anything wrong.
Who, Steve-O?
Mm-hmm.
Or Shanahan?
Both.
Let's steer away from the quarterbacks for a minute, and let me ask you guys about this. What have you thought about the defense?
The run defense needs to get back going to what it was. That's for sure. I mean, sometimes in the preseason you don't see the full see what your defense really looks like, but early on it's not looking too good. But at least we finally got to see Javon Hargrave in the mix, right? I mean, right away we saw him get that pressure up the middle, and then it forced Russell Wilson to run a bit. But then lo and behold, he gets Russell Wilson from behind.
Yeah,
that was nice. And he was next to Armstead, and so those things were good. I mean, now when Bosa comes back, we're going to see some things in the defense. And I know a lot of, as far as the secondary goes, there were some Niner fans that were like, why is Wilkes up in the booth? He shouldn't be up in the booth. We believe he should be on the sidelines and blah, blah, blah. And some people wanted him on the sidelines to cheer and pump up the players. But throughout practices, he's not a rah-rah guy. Mm-hmm. That's just not really who he is. Now, because Eric's a rah-rah guy, and he's playing that role on the sidelines. So I'm fine with that. But and I still have to wait to see the regular season, but they got to get that run defense back to what it was.
I think Saleh was made to come down into the onto the sidelines because they were like just figuring things out with the defense. So I think he needed to be around to kind of explain things and all that good stuff. We've got the same like coaching staff on the defense as we've had the last couple years, and I think that's the fact that Wilkes is able, because I think Kyle likes his defensive coordinator on the field with him. But I think Wilkes is like, look, man, I like the booth way better. I can see more stuff. And Kyle's like, you know what? We got enough guys. If you can communicate, well, and you've got coaches who can do your work for you, then by all means, you can be up there. But if you can't communicate well, you need to be on the sidelines, because that's more important, is fixing what you can see instead of seeing everything and not being able to fix much. So, and I think that's just a luxury of us being such a good team through and through in every aspect of coaching, or in every aspect of the team besides quarterback.
What up, throwback?
Are you? I just feel like, I know obviously that, our whole first team defense wasn't out there. We're missing Bosa, yada, yada. I just feel like watching this defense, even when, most of our starters were out there, I just feel like it's missing something. It doesn't look like a 49ers defense to me.
Nope. There's not enough aggression after the quarterback. Even though, like, Hargrave was attacking people up the middle, we need to see those ends just always pushing the tackle into the quarterback, making them have to step up in the pocket and let the interior guys kind of get at him if you can't. It's not the same style of football because there was one play against Russell where it looked like our style of football, and then he ran up the middle, which is our style of football.
Right.
I was gonna say this. Correct me if I'm wrong, but did Drake Jackson even play? Did Robert Beal Jr. even play? Like these are two younger guys.
Robert Beal didn't play. He's hurt.
Yeah, he's hurt. Okay. I haven't seen this new one improve.
Kinlaw had COVID.
I'm not even tripping off of Kinlaw. Really, despite the facts that early on in camp he was supposedly dominating, it's just whatever. But yeah, I mean, Drake Jackson supposedly had a really good camp, and I haven't seen what this guy's all about yet. I mean, maybe we'll see when the regular season starts.
He was hurt, so he didn't play last game either.
He didn't play either, yeah. And Niner Gang Dion is in the podcast, Niner Gang podcast. I mean, he's in the chat. I mean,
what up,
Dion? He had a good show on yesterday.
What's up, chat? I see y'all. Appreciate you guys all being here.
All
the homies.
Dion was pretty vocal on the Forever Faithful podcast. They streamed it on his channel too. You have a chance to go check out his channel yesterday. Pretty funny.
Let's talk about that, Bosa. Obviously, we are almost to the third preseason and final preseason game, and Bosa's still not signed. We woke up today. Well, I mean, I woke up to Bosa being in New York, posting on his social media that he was in New York, and he hadn't posted anything on social media in a while. So people did some digging and found out his agent is in New York. So I think people were expecting maybe that, it should be today or tomorrow. Still no news, though. Are you guys worried about this? Do you think it goes into the regular season? Or like, I really wasn't expecting this to go this long.
I think this won't go into the regular season. The reason being is I think that Nick Bosa wants every game he can with this defensive line to try and chase that record he wants so bad. I think this is so. John Lynch came out and said, so when somebody asked him about Bosa's contract, and he said, we just need to have patience. And he just kept on mentioning patience over and over again. He was very confident that the deal was going to get done. To me, I've heard other people say they think it's language in the contract. I don't think he wants to be in training camp. I think he wants, every time he does a contract, he's just going to hold out until the very last moment so he just can miss training camp because he just wants to do other stuff other than just showing up every day. When let's face it, he knows the defense. There's not so much stuff you could throw at him that he hasn't already seen as far as scheme wise. And if you're really trying to reinvent the wheel, maybe you should think about that first. So like, I think this is all just him just wanting to chill. Look, 49ers were trying to have this contract done beforehand, right? If they thought they were going to have issues with language or anything like that, they would have had that time already buffered in, right? You're not going to get pushed all this far into camp over some language. They want him there. If it's really some little language, it's some language that they'll just do it. They need him there. Were you going to let him walk? No, he's got you over the barrel. Once you get the money down, he's kind of got you on the barrel for everything else, so just do it. Let's go. And I just don't think that's it. It's just he don't want to be there right now. I was thinking that maybe right before we played the Raiders, I thought we'd sign him, but I was obviously wrong with that one, and it's been dragging on a bit longer. I don't want to get worried at this point in time, but
it's a few days before week one for the game against the Steelers season opener. That is, there is room for concern. Now, as far as Bosa is during this season, and as far as what we see in the playoffs, it did seem like Bosa kind of got gassed during the playoffs. So this might be a good thing that, hey, Bosa is going to jump to, start the season off on a bit of a later start, and perhaps it could help us out in the long run, and we'll see a more productive Bosa come playoff time. So who knows?
Unless he gets some soft tissue something because he wasn't out there getting hardened up. That's the
what
only...
I'm worried about.
Okay, you take the lead on that one then.
I'm worried about that either he's going to come back and obviously not have time to get in football shape, which we know he's a monster, right? He's taking care of his body. He's doing all the right things, everything you could possibly do great away from the freaking franchise. But he's not in football shape. You have to play football to get in football shape. That's why I would have preferred to have him at least here for one preseason game. But that obviously don't seem like it's going to happen. Because even if they did sign him this week, you can't just then throw him on the field to play. So if they sign him, the week before our game, that's what's going to happen. He's going to have that week to practice, and he's going to get thrown out there to a football game.
And I will say this one thing we're missing because Ryan had said it about Bosa not being around for practice. It could, Trent Williams is used to going up against Bosa, and he hasn't had that luxury since Bosa's out. And just the younger defensive ends and the younger D linemen don't have Bosa to look up to in terms of a standard that they need to be at. Yeah, so they are missing that part.
You're supposed to be a captain.
Or what could Bosa be telling Beal right now? You know what I mean? What could he be working on? You know what I mean? Like, hey, you need to try this and that. There's things that he helps out with, but who knows? Maybe he made an effort to stay away to try and be more healthier. Because remember what Kittle said, man, this last year was the healthiest I've ever been going into the playoffs. It sucked. He's like, I feel like a kid again. You know what I mean? And it's just, we couldn't get on the same page essentially with health.
So was that a Bosa impersonation that we just heard?
What? Were
you trying to impersonate Bosa?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was gonna say we could get Stephanie on here for that.
Oh yeah, please. If I'm, oh man, I better chill out, because if I'm talking like he does, maybe I have to put the pipe.
I could probably talk like him. I'd have to work on it a little bit.
I have to put the pipe down. He talks like he's hella baked, but he's not. You can tell his eyes are wide open.
Yeah, he talks. Whew. He's a special one. So a couple of people that we got back from injury we had just talked about, which is good. Obviously, Drake Jackson. Kalia Davis is back and practicing for his first time finally. And they said that he looks great in the middle of the D-line. So maybe that could be, a great backup piece there. Bad news, though, coming out today.
To the third string, baby.
Aaron Banks is hurt.
Oh, no.
Is he?
They said he left practice today, limping or whatnot, and didn't come back. They did the pressers before practice today, so once practice was over, they weren't able to find out anything. So we'll have to wait till tomorrow to actually find out something. But that, hopefully it's not something serious, because as we just talked about, the O-line is looking crazy. And that's, I think, one of my biggest concerns is the overall depth of the team across the board. Because we know the 49ers have always prided themselves lately, the last how many years, always talking about, our depth's so good, we knew that if one of our superstars went out, okay, well, it's okay, because we have guys, right? We don't just have like some Joe Schmo, like we have dudes. And now, I don't know, because the D-line, the thing that suppose we used to have like freaking 30 defensive line people, I swear that they would keep on every freaking roster, it felt like. I'm having a trouble finding 5 to keep. Like, I don't know. Like, I just feel like this team's very top heavy. And that's that worries me, because we know how this team is with freaking injuries.
Very true. And you were mentioning O-line as far as injuries go. I will say this though, because as far as depth goes, I know O-line looked terrible last year, particularly in the preseason. And then once the regular season came around, things started to shape out, and the O-line started looking good. And in general, we had a good O-line. So, and if someone did go down, we did a good job of inserting whoever, and whoever we put in the lineup with the starters usually tended to play fairly decent, Now, which is nice because when we see those guys in the preseason, they look terrible as a unit. But when you slide them in with the starters, they tend to look a lot better. So hopefully the O-line does come around during the regular season. Hopefully, when certain names are called upon on the O-line, that they look like they belong on the team. Basically, the one guy that stands out, obviously, the preseason. Didn't really notice him too much in the Raider game, but after seeing the film, I noticed him. The Raider game was just pissing me off altogether. But in general, the Ilm Manning, he's only 6'2". He's a tackle out of Hawaii. We penciled him in as a guard on the roster, but they're still playing him at left tackle in games, and he played left tackle in college. And he looks like a natural when he's out there. I don't care if he has short arms. I don't care if he's only 6'2". If that's his natural position and that's what he's good at, play him out there and see what he can do. And even with that undrafted free agent that we had, Joey Fisher, they were showing all these killer highlights of him at playing at whatever small college Shepherd. And he was saying he patterned his game after Trent Williams. I was like, okay, let's see what we could do and use him at tackle. But then when we threw him on the team, we're still using him as only a guard. And let's see if tackle is his natural position, why not? I don't care if he has short arms. Put him out there and see what you could do in a preseason game. But we didn't do that. We didn't go that route yet. But at least Ilm Manning from Hawaii is looking good.
And move him to guard. If we didn't draft him in the first round, we just get a tackle and then we move him to guard. Get a tackle, move him to guard. Get him a tackle, move. And now guess what? We got McKivitz as our starting right tackle. And who's his backup? Pryor?
Or Leroy Watson? He's a former tight end.
Joe Schmo?
Yeah, it doesn't. It's bad. I really. They need to stop drafting guards. It's all we have is guards. Look, Nick Sakelj. Hey, he's small. He's smart. He gets pushed back. He gets pushed around all over.
He's been sucking, dude.
Jason Poe. He can move. What did you do? You try him out in he's pretty much a center and a center only. I think at this moment he's too small to have as a guard. He might be in strength. He might be okay. He's not plump.
I'll tell you this. I was at camp, and at one point in time, the players were only 15 or 20 feet away from me. I just watched them stand on the sidelines or whatever. And Poe looks really small in real life compared to everybody else.
Yeah,
compared to all the other linemen. We're saying what you see on TV. Yeah,
that's what That's why he has to be a center, and he could be a center because centers, even if he gets a big fat guy head up on him, he can just call the blocking pattern to where he gets help. You know what I mean? There's ways to get around it. That's why he could. And if you're doing one of our run plays, well, the center is usually going off and getting a linebacker. Well, he's extremely fast, and he's got moves, so that'll help him get around and get the linebacker or a box safety, which is nasty. If you can put your center on the box safety and have your fullback take out the linebacker, that's nasty, bro. Because then you're talking about if he makes one person miss in the hole, which is the other linebacker, if he's not already taken out of the play, then you're talking about the only person who could really get him is the safety, the other last safety. The cornerbacks shouldn't be able to really get him from coming to the side because they're going to have to cover more ground. They might be, depending on how slow he is, but still, that is a bang play, baby. That'll break a touchdown. That's catch that safety in open field where he's got to make a decision after somebody breaks down and they just juke him. Nasty. It could be nasty.
What do you guys think about that linebacker battle?
Oh, D Winters is looking pretty nice, and Jalen Graham's looking even better. And I mean, D Winters was showing some nice sideline to sideline in the first two games. Actually, that ability that he has, and Jalen Graham just looks a lot bigger than I thought he would be. And I've heard nothing but good things from him in camp. seen nothing but good things from him on film, and
They had him wearing the green dot, and he seemed to handle
yeah.
it great.
I mean, he might take over McCrary Ball or Demetrius Flanagan fouls over in the depth chart, and they're both looking pretty nice to me so far. I like them both.
Are we going to trade? Are we going to trade one of our linebackers?
I think we should. Because if not, you have to cut somebody. You're going to have to cut somebody. There's not enough spots. So why just let guys walk when you know teams are there drooling, waiting to see who the 49ers are going to get rid of?
Right.
I think you have to.
But those teams may just wait, though. They may just say, hey, well, you're going to cut these guys anyways. We're just going to stick around.
They're not in order. They'll have to wait for
exactly.
The Texans will get him first. Whoever down there at the shitty team. So
the Texans, you know, they know what we got in the building. If we're like, hey, you want McQuarrie Ball?
D'Amico knows. That's for sure.
I think DFF.
Oh, you think DFF, huh?
If it were up to me, that's who I would trade.
Okay.
Because he has special teams value too, you know, so teams could be needing that, especially shitty teams like the Texans or whatnot, you know.
Yeah. Guy who can play multiple roles.
Yep. I just think, and plus those guys are just like, I think 1 year after this season, they're up. So I think it's time to keep the young talent and get those other guys out of there. And I like Ball. I like McCrary Ball a lot.
I do too. I like them all. This is so hard. But yeah, I would stay young. If you're not losing anything as far as ability, I'd rather get young in the position and get more draft capital. That might or might not be squandered away in a trade for a player that they won't do anything with. Who's Furry Mike?
You're saying your pop filter is a furry pop filter. I think you bought it as an extra accessory for your mic. It didn't come with it, right?
Oh yeah. It's not a pop filter. It's a wind filter.
Oh, okay.
The pop filters, as far as I know, the pop filters are the black ones that are kind of like that.
The disc. Yeah, I used to.
And then this one's made. I got this so I don't have to worry about the fan hitting it from across the room, or even me because I'm a mouth breather.
Yeah,
so,
I used to use the pop filter all the time, and then I tested it with and without it, and I didn't really notice much of a difference. Just I was like, okay, I'll just remove it and not use it. So.
Yeah.
What about the wide receivers battle? Obviously, we know we got two guys that are hurt now, Danny Gray and Ray. How do you think that shakes up this wide receiver battle?
Ray goes to IR.
I saw a comment.
I think Ray goes to IR, right? I think they might try to sneak him that way. I know what'd they say about Ray McLeod?
Is it a wrist injury?
It's a wrist injury, but how are they gonna didn't they already say how they were gonna handle him? Thought Kyle said he wasn't gonna put him on IR.
Well, that's what Kyle's saying because Ray's saying he could probably play by week 1, but I don't think that's even possible.
I think Kyle's going to keep Ray's spot open until last minute. So if we're taking 6, then Ray's number 6. You got Brandon Ayuk, Debo, Juwan Jennings, Ronnie Bell, and then I don't know. I was talking with Ted earlier, and I think Ted talked me into Snead. Snead would be my other guy because he's a vet. He knows what needs to be done in any single route. You know what I mean? But he run blocks. He blocks downfield in the passing game. There's been a couple of times where I've been like, oh, man, look at him running down the field. And then I see Snead come in and make that block, and then he gets 10, 15 more yards. So I want a guy like that over anybody else that could be something, because I can bank when he's on the field, he's given 100%, and that's what I've seen out of him. So he's made clutch catches at times, you know, in tough, not tough but crucial situations. So, you know, no, it's not like he gets nerves or something when it's third down. So, yeah, Ronnie Bell, Snead, those are the two open spots I think that are filled.
What you think, Bash?
Oh yeah, I mean, I love the wide receiver core. Looks like we have a whole bunch of guys who are ready to play, ready to make big plays. I mean, every now and then we might see a stupid little drop, but for the most part, these guys are, you know, especially when they have the ball in their hands. You know, it's nice to see another yak type of guy with Ronnie Bell. It was funny because when I saw him at camp, he was literally like 5 feet away from me, and somebody asked me, "Who is that?" And I was like, "I don't know." It kind of looked like Willie Snead without a helmet, but I was looking at his face. I was like, I know his face looks different than Willie Snead, so I was really thrown off who he was. I kind of wish I did know who he was because, well, keep in mind he didn't have his jersey on at the time either. So, but it would have been cool to say what's up to him. But because he's looking pretty good, man, he might be a player. And a lot of people who are Michigan fans, TL is a Michigan fan, I believe, your co-host, he had a lot of good things to say about him. And Bell's father, I'm not sure at what level he coaches, but I know his father is a wide receiver coach.
College, yeah.
He's a college wide receiver coach. So whatever he learned from his father is showing on the field.
He's a dog.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like a big tough guy in real life. He's a small dude, but
when that ball's in the air, he'll get in the mix. He doesn't care. I like him. And when he's got the ball in his hand and you're in the way, he'll get in the mix too. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's perfect for this team.
Yeah, he doesn't look intimidating at all when you see him in real life. I mean,
once the ball's in his hand.
Yeah, he's doing good. I like Danny Gray. I want to see what Danny Gray. I was hoping to see Danny Gray this last game, and then he got hurt, and that pissed me off. It sucks to see Danny Gray get hurt like that, and he's having a pretty good camp. And they said his blocking has improved a lot. So, yeah, I mean, I love Jawan Jennings. I mean, I like our wide receiver core in general. Ayuk and Debo. Debo looked really, really explosive when he was out there with the ones. So it's just gonna be a lot of fun to watch with these wide receivers.
If Ronnie Bell had Danny Gray's speed, it would be over.
Oh yeah,
he would be like one of the nastiest players in the league. Not to say that, you know, other guys aren't good too, but you take that Danny Gray speed and you see Ronnie Bell is doing stuff out on the field, like I would say running better routes than Debo, but not as good as Brandon Ayuk. Not to say that he's running better routes. It just seems like he's getting open on his routes more so than Debo does. That's just how I'm going to put it, because he might not be running better routes.
Yeah,
but
I hope Debo has advanced his route running skills, because he's kind of lacked in years past.
I think he was one of those guys who's like, man, I don't need to worry about that shit. You know what I mean? Like,
I'll just bully my way through. I don't need to.
I smoke these people anyways. I don't need to worry about all that. And it's like, yes, maybe you don't now, but the stuff you could be learning now will help you when you don't have those same gifts later on in your career, and you can use this stuff now to be even nastier and solidify a longer career by having something to fall back on when your physical talents start to diminish.
That's why Jerry Rice was so great at what he did, because even when he ran a slow 40 going into the NFL, and he was still pretty damn good late in his career, and because he mastered route running.
So Alberto had put this comment way earlier. Now that we're talking about Ronnie, what do you think about this? He says, if Ronnie stays healthy, BA will not be a 49er next season.
No, they still
think
find
that
a way.
Be true. This is, I would say that it would mean that Debo wouldn't be on the team. The reason being is Debo's contract was front loaded, right? Reason why we really couldn't trade him this last year when everybody's talking about all this stuff, right? So his contract is going to be the leanest it can get right at the moment that Brandon Ayuk's contract starts its big. If you sign Brandon Ayuk, they would extend him, right? And then that year he doesn't get a lot of money that year, except for maybe signing bonus, right? But it doesn't hit the cap. And then the next year, that's when the big cap hits. So you can have that low year right after you extend Brandon Ayuk, the same year that you've got the last year of Debo's contract, keeping them both on there. And then afterwards, you could move on from Debo, not re-sign him. And you have Ronnie Bell waiting in the ring, still on his rookie contract, 6th rounder, right? 6th or 7th rounder. Yeah, great price, great steal. And then you can have a Brandon Ayuk on his big boy contract, and you've got two, what I would think, 2 number 1 wide receivers at that point. Because I think Ronnie Bell this year and next year will have, he'll be going in his 3rd year at that point in time. So that's the time where everybody kind of comes into their own. I would say it's Debo, not Brandon Ayuk.
And with Ronnie for now, I mean, I'd say we have to pump the brakes just a little bit because we don't know how if what he did and what we saw so far is sustainable. We don't know if he's going to be a big time stud, or we don't know what
injury.
How good. Yeah, we don't know
injuries that could happen. What if he turns out to be kind of like a Jalen Hurd or something,
or he gets into the wide receiver doghouse somehow, or who knows? You never know with Kyle and wide receivers, especially.
I don't know. I think if his dad's a coach, I'm sure he knows how to deal with Kyle. You know what I mean? Kyle said this, and this is what I got to do because, you know what I mean? Because, shit, I've been living with one of these for the past 20-some years. Like, I got this.
But imagine what this offense is going to look like with, even Ronnie Bell. I'm not expecting him to be his full potential this season, but
no. Let's
say if he's 75% of what he could be, plus Debo and Ayuk with the type of seasons that they look like they're about to have. The way Debo showed up, man, I really tip my hat to him, because after what we saw last season, I was kind of like, man, he got this big ass payday. He didn't show up ready, like we know the kind of season he had wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great for Debo, right? But man, this season he showed up in shape. He looks like probably the best Debo that we've seen. And then with Ayuk, we know that he's just, on an upward
monster.
Yeah. So man, the type of offense that this could be, is pretty crazy to think about if we actually have a quarterback that can distribute the ball to where it needs to go.
All he's got to do is be a point guard. I hate to say that.
Yeah.
You know where I got that from. But I was going to say, you said something earlier about imagine if Ronnie Bell had Danny Green's speed. I was thinking, well, imagine if Brock Purdy had Mahomes' arm,
John B's second to last comment. The way Kyle coaches wide receivers, just as if he's a Hall of Fame candidate. Yes. Trust me, this is what you got to do. This is how you got to be successful. It worked for me.
I still can't find videos.
I'm getting my jacket next week.
I can't find videos of Kyle playing at Texas Longhorns. I know he played. I saw a picture, but I've been playing there. But I just can't find a video.
I've seen video.
Actually, I saw one video.
I don't know if I seen him running. I know that in uniform, and then I think I've seen him like saying something on the field, and I was like, that is my coach. Oh my God. He was, he's.
Kenny right here's got a question.
Mm-hmm. He says, how about fullback Jack Coletto? We're not going to be able to keep him. I like Coletto a lot. I think he can do so many different things. Like, you can put him anywhere in the offense. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately, just like the last fullback that we had on the team, that got taken and moved around, and because we know that we're only going to keep Juice, but it's like sooner or later we got to replace Juice.
We might be able to keep Jack Coletto on the practice squad. I mean,
I'm hoping.
What I hated is that they advertised him when we drafted him as being this versatile guy. I believe he played quarterback at points in times. He could throw kind of deep. He kind of throws slow though. He doesn't look like a real quarterback, but he actually played linebacker for a good portion of college. I think that might have been the position that he played the most, more so than fullback. He just played hella different positions. Yeah. And it's like, you have the preseason and these games don't count. Why don't we see what we can do and move him around and try it and just have fun with the guy?
Maybe because they don't want other teams to see him.
Maybe so.
Advertising him for other teams to steal your people.
Away. Yeah. At least he
I'm
got the
hoping
touchdown
that we can
Yeah.
stash him.
He made Darnold look good on that touchdown, right?
If it wasn't for him, Darnold wouldn't even have a touchdown through freaking preseason.
He wouldn't have any scoring drive, period, through preseason, not even a field goal.
Wow, I didn't
Shame.
think about that till you put and everybody's clamoring.
Mm-hmm.
Like Trey looked like butt at in the Raiders game for the first most of the time he was in there, but he still comes back in the next game and man starts commanding a drive down the field twice, and back-to-back passes all in the pocket. I thought about that later. I was like, when all those passes were in the pocket, what happened? He looked confident in the pocket. It was like tale of two different people. It was crazy.
Remember that game that Trey played and they kept showing his parents in the audience and, Trey's getting smashed up everywhere. And the mom's
Arizona,
Cardinals. That's how I felt in the Raiders game. I was Trey's mom in the stands.
Yeah. After I met Trey, he talked to him really, really briefly. And then he took pictures with other fans and signed autographs for other fans. And right after that, his parents walked up to him and he was talking to his parents for a good 10 minutes or so. Yep.
But yeah, I was scared for him, getting beat up down there.
Oh, yeah. It's not what I wanted to see is another injury in him. It's just God damn.
And especially, I wanted him so bad to come out into that Raiders game and just shut everybody up, just and I had said this in my show at TL, screw all the circumstances. You can't control that, right? What you can control is going out there and just doing the best that you can with the circumstances that you're given. And unfortunately, I didn't see that the first game. And I'm just man, this isn't looking good. But yeah, the second game, he really, really improved from that first game. That's for sure. And maybe the team around him too. Who knows? It was not like it's all his fault either. But yeah, anything else you guys want to talk about before we get out of here?
Debbie just got here in the chat. She's saying what's up.
She's got a question for you.
Hey, Miss Debbie. Yeah. That's how I felt too. Every little hit that he gets, oh no, oh my God. And then, I have all Raiders fans around us that are talking crap about the kid, so that makes it even worse. Oh my God, this is the quarterback they traded for. Oh, this is who they think's going to lead their team to the Super Bowl. All this shit. Oh my God.
I don't know what we didn't even play our best game against the Raiders in the regular season either. If you think about it, we barely squeaked that one out.
Yeah. Next week we're on whose channel?
Should we flip a coin or how do you want to do it, Ryan?
I'll flip it. I got a coin.
Ryan's gonna flip a coin, guys.
All right, and we'll tell you guys where you can find us next week.
Bashar, what you taking?
Tails never fails.
If you're not subscribed to their channels, their channel link is in the description of this video. So make sure to subscribe to all three channels.
Tails.
We'll be on Bashar's channel next week.
49er minded.
Tuesday at 6 Pacific time. That's where you'll find us. Yeah. Any closing thoughts, guys? Bebop.
What up, Bebop? What up,
I just want to thank the whole chat for keeping it fire all show long. I mean, questions and you guys were just on it. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for showing up. Make sure to hit that like button on the way out if you haven't already.
Thank you, Miriah, for having us on. And it's good to bring the heat podcast after a long hiatus. So I appreciate it. It was really fun doing this again, and hopefully we have a lot of good things to talk about this season. And looking forward to it.
Yep, I can't wait for there to be real football. So yeah, now that football's back, we're back. Should be a great season. And yeah, we appreciate you guys. Much love. Hope everybody has a great rest of your week. And we'll see you next week on 49er Minded channel. We're out of here, fam. Take care.
Bring the heat. Go Niners.